Hey guys, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. Um, in today's video, I am back with my nails again. Today, um, we're gonna be doing a MCU movies tier list. Because I love talking films with my dad. Especially MCU is very fun and it's quite interesting conversations normally. So, you know. We're gonna do this. So we have fantastic, very good, decent, mid, pretty bad, and then this is for haven't seen it or you literally like remember not even like a single scene from the movie. So it's like impossible for you to rank because you literally can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think we have any in that category because my memory's not that
Well,
bad.
have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh, okay. It's
I
doing
I,
that.
ha- I
Yeah, yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen that either. I think that might be the only one that goes down there because I haven't seen that one either. Okay, we're starting off with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
So that's the second one, right?
Yes, this is the one that came right after Infinity War.
Saw it once.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't believe I saw more than one either.
honestly, hardly remember this other than uh, Hank Pym's. They go and find uh the original Wasp, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In the
the quantum
in
realm.
the quantum realm. Yeah. This actually might be like close to literally remembering nothing. Um, uh, well, see, the thing is, if I didn't like, wasn't motivated to go back and watch it again, then it probably is in the mid tier. I gotta be honest with you. It's just,
For me, I'm the exact same because obviously, like an Ant-Man movie, there's like some comedy and humor and some fun parts to it, but like there's also like quite a few. Like I think all the villains suck in this movie. I don't think the plot is particularly interesting. I feel like Lawrence Fishburne is incredibly wasted in this movie. Um, and it's just mid.
yeah.
Speaking of Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man.
Now the original, I did enjoy. Um, I,
I have a good time with this movie as well. It's
I put it in very good.
very good. Okay.
We could. It's what's the okay? Okay, yeah. I'll give it very good. It's
It's a fun movie. It's a simple heist movie that I quite enjoy. It's got meaningful characters. Paul Rudd's great. Um,
Yeah, they did a good job with this one.
um, it's not a whole lot to say on that. Okay, Age of Ultron.
I thought that this was a lot better than most. I think
I think it's an underrated. I think it's overhated. I think it's got issues. It's not. It's far from a perfect film, but I think it's very overhated. I think Ultron is
it's a fantastic villain in my note.
such a good villain.
I'm gonna give it very good. I really
Okay,
enjoyed. I enjoyed
okay.
that movie.
Above or below Ant-Man?
Yeah, I like it better than Ant Man.
Okay. I think my biggest problem with this movie is honestly like I feel like that whole the Ruth Natasha romance was very weird and did not need to be in the movie, like at all.
I mean, it's a little forced, but okay.
Um, do we even need to talk about that?
Uh, those are
Infinity War and Endgame? Like, I mean,
I mean, I put Infinity War first because
yes, I think it's a better movie as well, but
um
they're both
because
two of my favorite films of all time.
I mean, to me, Infinity War is the absolute pinnacle of this whole list.
Hmm.
Uh, by itself, it is one of the two examples of an actual tragedy in fantasy science fiction movies. The other being Empire Strikes Back.
Hmm.
Um, but just yeah, on those merits alone, and how well it executed the Greek tragedy. Um, it just
And then just how
yeah.
incredible Endgame was as a follow-up. Like,
Well, yeah, yeah, because it just My only problem with Endgame, the only quibble I have is the whole the time travel thing is a little weak, but that's a quibble.
Yeah,
That
I
brings it down
personally,
a little.
I don't really have a problem with it. I actually thought, in terms of time travel mechanics and explanations, I've seen movies that do time travel a lot worse
Well, for
than
sure, absolutely, but
Endgame.
still, yeah,
Like, for example, I don't think the way Back to the Future does time travel is very good whatsoever. Um,
yeah. Well, those problems have been well noted.
Black Panther.
I've got to give that a fantastic. I'm sorry, that's just
Yeah, me too.
such a good film.
I don't think it's near the quality of either of these films, but it
No,
is a very, very good film. I think like it's amazing to me how much this film manages to accomplish in terms of like building a culture and at the same time building up characters and plot at the same time. I think it accomplishes a lot, and I think it's a very, very good film.
yes, it's excellent.
Speaking of, is this okay to put up here as well?
Well, for sure.
What do you
Yeah,
think above Black Panther?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's essentially an Avengers movie.
It's Avengers 2.5.
Yes, this is generally
But this
accepted.
is far from a criticism whatsoever. In fact, it's one of the most best executed parts of the film, I would say, because it's amazing to me. The best thing about this movie is the way that people call it Avengers 2.5 and also a really freaking good Captain America film at the same time.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
fact that it manages both is no easy feat whatsoever. Um, there, like, there's so much good character work. Along with, speaking of Black Panther, he's introduced in this movie,
sure,
and he has an amazing revenge arc within this movie itself,
right,
along with the introduction of Spider-Man as well.
right.
This movie just does so much, in my opinion. Okay, Captain America 1, the first Avenger.
I think this is another one that gets maybe some hate. I don't know for sure, but I think it's a very solid one. I think it's very
Decent?
good,
Okay,
honestly. I think it's better than Ant-Man,
okay.
but maybe not better than uh,
Yeah, I
Ultron.
would agree with that. I rewatched this relatively recently. And I actually enjoyed I actually it was a lot better than I remembered. There's a lot more solid aspects to it. I think I know the Red Skull isn't like the most memorable villain, but Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull was just fantastic.
Well, Hugo Weaving is
Yeah, in anything he's a legend, but just I really enjoyed him in the film. Okay, can I put this up here?
which one's that one?
Winter Soldier.
Oh yes. Ooh.
Is it above Civil War for you? For me, it is. For me, it's because it's in my top 10 films of all time.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would. Yeah, yeah. There's just so many good moments in that
Yeah,
film that
the elevator scene
Yes.
it's honestly might be up there with like my favorite movie scenes of all time.
Yeah. It's just
Definitely scenes in the MCU for sure.
for sure, for sure.
We're not talking too much about these just because like there's so much that's already been said about why these films are so good. I don't feel like it warrants much explanation. Captain Marvel,
I think it was decent, honestly.
decent.
Yeah. It had a couple of moments. It wasn't like knock it out of the park, but it was
For me, I would probably just settle on mid, but like I think it's a fine movie. I think I just the biggest I guess problem, which isn't even that much of a problem, is just the fact it doesn't really have anything that stands out about it, you know, which
true, which is
which
why
is
it's not very
yeah
good.
yeah. Okay, Doctor Strange.
I'm sorry, it's fantastic. The
Really,
original,
you put it that
yes.
high? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, look, the character arc of Stephen Strange is brilliant. It just is. and Benedict Cumberbatch is brilliant.
Yes, I agree
So
with that.
you just like so much. It's just so much good there that you can't really.
So then I want to ask, because I hear a lot of common criticisms. It's not one I have myself, but a lot of common criticism I hear about this movie is the fact that his art feels very similar to Iron Man's, and it kind of feels like it follows like an MCU formula. Those are probably like the two big criticisms I hear about Doctor Strange. I don't really agree with either of them. But
I
I'm
mean,
just curious to
my
see
response to
what.
that is take a step back and understand like the fact that there's an MCU formula at all says something because it means
Yeah.
it's an excellent formula,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Like Coca-Cola is a formula. It's gone for like a century and a half because it's a very good formula. Like it's
That's
not
true. I didn't
bad
think
to
about it that
be
way.
a formula, like follow a formula if the formula is very, very good.
So for me, I put it like down here. But I do very much enjoy Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange easily has the best visuals of any MCU film. That and its sequel, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
This is probably going to be like, I don't know if it's controversial or other, but this is pretty bad.
Really? Wow. Okay. So why dislike this one from us? Because for me, I think it'd be like a decent film.
Because at this point it's like the magic of the first one is kind of lost. Like true, the first 30 minutes of this movie you're laughing, you know.
Hmm.
The rest of it you're like, okay. And and part of the problem is I am just not a Star Lord fan. I really don't like the character. I think
Like Chris Pratt, the actor, or just a character
well,
in
as an
general.
actor he's not good and then the character is not great either.
Okay.
Um the only redeeming qualities are Rocket Raccoon, really, and I'm not even a big Drax the Destroyer fan either. Yeah,
So one of the things I really enjoy about this movie is the whole like Yondu character arc, and I really enjoy exploring that relationship. That's probably my favorite thing about the
yeah. The
movie.
whole the whole thing there felt cheesy. Like
Okay.
just, I'm sorry, it's bad.
Well, I do think that this movie has one of the funniest MCU lines of all time. That is Yondu saying, "Your weapons, y'all." That is one of the funniest MCU lines of all time, and no one can convince me otherwise.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
It's up there with from the first movie, Rocket. I can't remember the exact quote, but like Rocket Raccoon hating grass.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like it's in that legend here. Speaking of the original, that's the next one here.
Now the original's very good.
You think very good, like top
What are we?
above Age of Ultron?
I don't put it that high.
Really? I would definitely put it above Age of Ultron for me, but
No, I,
okay.
I'm just, but again, I'm not a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I just,
Okay, but this movie is still very good. It's
yes,
a very
yes,
solid like formula. It introduces a good cast of characters. The villain's kind of mid, but that's not really the point. Um, and this movie is so funny.
yeah. Overall, it's you're not tired of what they do, from one film. So
Of which easily the funniest part of Infinity War is the Guardians themselves. You know,
okay,
all
but
their bits are like the funniest part. Okay, now we have Iron Man 2.
I
You,
think it's mid.
you,
You
you,
think it's
you
pretty bad?
I think this is easily the worst MCU film. I think it is absolutely riddled with problems. Um,
Yeah, I'm not so harsh on it. I don't think.
so my main problems with it is way too many plot lines. The villains, honest to God, suck. the humor is not funny at all in this movie, and the action that you get is good, but there's way too little of it.
I mean, I don't know if like I feel that extreme about any like the villains or the plot line. I mean, really, there's the main plot line, which is the whole revenge thing from that angle.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm not that annoyed by the Justin Hammer character.
Me personally, I absolutely despise Justin Hammer.
But
I don't think he's funny at all.
um,
But that's just me. That's a very reasonable opinion. Iron Man 3, I don't think this is one we've talked much about.
um, again, mid.
Mid? Okay.
I at this point, it felt like they were trying to just, have more Iron Man films rather than come up with something that was really. I
So,
mean,
what do you think of the Mandarin twist? Because that's by far the most common criticism I hear this movie get.
I mean, as a performance, I thought,
Ben Kingsley's funny.
because it's Sir Ben Kingsley. It's
Yeah,
like he's a legend. He's not going
yeah,
to do anything bad.
yeah.
But uh, it, yeah, it's a weird twist.
You think it's weird? Okay.
I mean, it doesn't make it pretty bad, but it's still not
So
above me.
I think this is a kind of underrated film. Personally, I would probably put it decent.
Okay.
Because I think it's a good film. I think the bits that they do with Iron Man's character makes sense. Also the theme song goes really good. The main theme to Iron Man 3 is very good. Speaking of Iron Man, can I go ahead and put this up here? I know you love this movie.
Well, yes. Uh,
It's not. Well, do you think it's about Winter Soldier
no,
Civil
no,
War
no, no.
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, I would put this at the top of very good because in my mind, I think it's a classic film. Simple formula works great. I feel like the only reason I would put it at the top of very good is because I feel like there are certain films that have just reached a higher level of quality that this film will never manage to reach in my mind. But I understand why you put it top tier. I'm not like upset at that at all. Makes perfect sense to me. I don't feel like we need to talk about that very much. Okay. This is Spider-Man Far From
The
Home.
second one, yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
So, where would
Yeah.
you put it?
I like what do we got? Ant Man. We're better than Ant Man. Um,
Captain America better?
yeah, I think it was better than that. Probably like right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think this film's biggest strength is the fact that like Mysterio is just a fantastic villain.
Yes.
Like Jake Gyllenhaal does a amazing job in the role. Does it have some plot holes with the whole fact that Peter gets some glasses that could technically like alter the fate of the world? Probably, but that's not as big of a criticism because honestly, Mysterio's entire just charisma, it just carries the entire movie and
Sure.
it just makes it such an enjoyable watch to me. Um, I still like, whenever I think of this movie, I immediately think of that scene with the trains and all the illusions,
Right. Right.
that
Yeah.
it's such a good scene there. Um, okay. This is Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, this is Homecoming here.
Um, I would put it on that tier, but in the first spot for sure.
This?
No, no, no. It's decent, but
Really? Okay. So why do you think this is like not as good as Far From Home? Because in my mind, I actually slightly prefer Homecoming. They're close, but I slightly prefer Homecoming to Far From Home. Personally.
um, I guess the 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 way they present Peter Parker is a little. It's hard because I know that they're trying to like say like he's untested and
You don't like it as much.
I don't know. It just doesn't the whole bit doesn't grab me as much as like as he's a little older and or a little wiser kind of thing.
So the reason that I slightly prefer this movie is I think it's overall like more solid, more consistent. Um, and that's basically it.
I mean, fair enough.
I think Far From Home does have some inconsistencies with the plot holes I mentioned, and I think Homecoming overall is a little bit more of a consistent film, which is why I just slightly prefer it. Okay, original Avengers,
Well, top tier.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like, hmm, it's probably better than Iron Man. Than yeah,
Better
yeah.
than Civil War.
No, no.
Okay,
Yeah, we're like that. Yeah.
this this is such a fun movie from beginning to end. That's by far my favorite thing about it. Like they absolutely nail literally everything in this movie to me. Like the plot is very simple. They don't try to like break any boundaries with it, but everything that they go for is simple, but they absolutely nail it, you know? It's such a fun watch from beginning to end.
Although I'm going to tell your viewers that when you first saw it, how old were you when we first tried to show it to you?
Well, okay, I wasn't as interested in Marvel when I was younger, okay?
But yeah, you thought it was boring. But you
Okay.
were like what, 8? I don't
Well,
remember.
yeah.
Or 10 or something. I don't remember. You were pretty young.
Now I absolutely love the movie.
So
Even though I haven't actually watched it in a while, but
yeah.
okay. Incredible Hulk. This is the only one I haven't seen because I didn't really think of it like as a
Yeah, put it at the
MCU film.
bottom. No. The haven't seen, little remember nothing.
You actually don't even remember anything from it?
Really.
Okay. Thor Ragnarok. I have quite a hot take when it comes to this film. I don't
It's
know.
mid.
Really? Wow, you're the same as me then.
I mean, it has a great moment because it has a Led Zeppelin song in it,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So this is how I describe this movie. I think the beginning and end are like A tier. The middle B tier. Like
yeah,
the entire middle of the film, all this stuff where they're on Sakaar is unbearably boring. Like like there's some fun like the Thor versus Hulk Coliseum fight is like a fun moment. Me personally, I cannot stand Jeff Goldblum. I hate him in this movie. I do not like him as an actor at all. So that's another reason I don't like this
yeah,
movie. I
I
don't know
get it.
if you kind of feel the same
I mean,
way,
I'm not
but
a huge Jeff Goldblum fan. It's
um
not like
I
his
I can't stand him personally. I think he's very annoying. And I think Hell is an okay villain, but I feel like there's like she doesn't have nearly as much depth.
right.
But I think everything that they do with Thor's character and his powers is really cool. Loki's fantastic in this movie. The Get Help scene is one of the best Marvel gags of all time. Um, so it's mid to me. Like Accord's great, like it's got some really great moments, but like the plot is not that particularly interesting. Also, me personally, I don't know if you kind of share this criticism as well. I feel like the tone of this movie is very much ruined by way too many like comedic moments. Um
Yeah, I think obviously, we'll get to it in a minute. It gets worse later, but it got to a point where it's just like,
um or the Dark World
again, mid.
mid. I'm kind of inclined to think the same way. I don't think it's like the worst Marvel film ever made.
No,
I think it just doesn't really have that much of anything happen in it, which is why it's just mid.
right. It's just there.
Um, like there's just so many things about it that just are like perfectly average to me.
Right.
Um, uh, see, I was gonna, I really didn't talk about. Are you good with this order for this tier? Like, would you move any of these around?
I mean, honestly, once you get down to this point, does it that matter that much the order?
Not really, but I like to do it. As well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, the original four.
It's decent.
I think the same thing.
I would
Um,
put it ahead of Miss Marvel or
Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I would agree. I think I do share kind of the common criticism of this movie where I do think the tonal shift in the second half of the movie, I think it's very jarring, and I don't think that the two tones in the movie necessarily like mesh together that well,
Right,
which
right,
is kind of makes for like an inconsistent watch experience. But I think Loki is great. I think Thor is great. I think all the Asgard bits are great. I think there's some funny Earth bits, but overall it's not as good as the first part of the movie.
right.
Um, Black Widow.
I would put that in the very good tier.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Um, I think, it probably gets some hate
Would
because
you put it above Ant-Man?
yeah.
Okay. Above First Avenger?
No.
Okay.
I mean, but I think that there's a lot there. You know, I really like, the characters in this one actually. Um, I think it's an interesting arc there, sort of how they all developed and turned into who they were.
I agree. Um, I would put it what here, to be honest, like in the
Enough.
middle of decent. Kind of. And that's because like I wish we'd gotten this film sooner. Like
Yeah, but you can't like penalize the movie because it didn't happen as quickly as you wanted it to happen. You still have to like
um
look at the movie as what it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, so I like all the character arcs. I like the family. I think David Harbour in particular is very funny. Um, forget the actor that plays Yelena. What is her name?
Florence
That's
Pugh.
it, Florence Pugh.
She's
I think
brilliant.
she's fantastic. I think she's a fantastic addition to the MCU, and I'm uh going to be excited to see her in future projects moving forward.
Thunderbolts next year.
Right. And I think I honestly my biggest issue with this movie is I'm not a big fan of the way they did Taskmaster.
I mean, there's reasons why it's not fantastic. Yes, or even
Um
higher in this tier.
that
But
that's
sure,
that's that's my personal biggest problem with the movie. Also to me it doesn't stand out as much. I still think it's decent. So Shang-Chi. I know I have a much higher opinion of this film than you, but
I'm sorry, it's mid.
really? I think you like it.
I mean, it has its moments. I mean, obviously, anytime you can
So where would you put it then?
quote Hotel California as some sort of weaponized distracting line thing. Um, what was that, Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the top of the tier.
Okay. So for people who don't know, this is one of my absolute favorite Marvel films. I would honestly put it here, even above Civil War.
Wow,
Um, which I know is like a
that's a hot take.
crazy level of praise. But I've rewatched this film I think like 5 times. And that's a lot more than I've done with most Marvel films beyond like the three, because these are all my top 10 films of all time. Um, I think I've even rewatched this more than the original Avengers, but number one, I love all the like for me, I think what I find so cool about it is everything that's kind of Chinese inspired, like the whole like mythology and stuff like that.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, fair enough, but
and for me, Wenwu is easily like top five MCU villains. I think his entire villain arc is fantastic. I think the action is amazing in this film. I think it's got some of the best action of any MCU film. I think the music is fantastic. Um, and I really, really freaking like the characters as well. Every time I watch this movie, it's just like absolute blast from start to finish. Kind of like the Avengers for me, which is honestly why it's so high for me. I know that there's like next to nobody that believes that it's that high, but you know, it hurts.
I would say bottom of mid.
I think this film is the definition of mid. I don't think you can get a better definition of mid of any Marvel film than Eternals
Like, I'm
because
not harsh enough on it to put it in pretty bad,
no,
but
because I don't think it's a bad film. I think it has some really interesting and cool ideas. And I think certain characters and what they do with those characters are really cool. However, this film is trying to do way, way, way too much all at once. And it makes it feel kind of like an utter mess a lot of the time.
fair enough.
um, would you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't recall it like there's
Yeah,
nothing in it that was just like this is great. You know?
yeah, because even the good parts, I would say only landed like maybe at the top of decent for me. But um, ooh, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Obviously it's top tier. Um,
Where would you put it though? Like, is it above Civil War?
no.
No. Above the Avengers?
It's right there. Like, mm, yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Um, so I have not rewatched this film since we first saw it in theaters, so is it the same for you as well? Have you rewatched it since?
Yes,
Okay.
once or at
Oh,
least
okay.
parts of it.
Okay. So you probably have a fresher memory than me. For me, I'm going off my initial theater experience. And I gotta say, it was like one of the best like theater experiences I've had watching a movie was seeing this
Sure.
for the first time in theaters because not me personally, I'm not that big of a Spider-Man fan. I don't think you are either.
No.
Because beyond the MCU ones, the only other Spider-Man movie I've seen is I saw the first Tobey Maguire one when I was like 9 or 10, I think, and I thought it was fine, not that great. But I think the all the Spider-Mans coming together, even matter of us being big Spider-Man fans, it was still really freaking cool.
Yeah, just that, bringing back the villains. You sprinkle
Mhm.
in some Doctor Strange. It's just got a
The
lot
fact
going
that
to
the
it.
fact that it does the multiverse aspect really, really good.
You know,
It's probably the only thing that we've gotten so far, despite it being the multiverse saga, that's actually done the multiverse kind of well. Uh,
well, I mean, movie wise,
yeah,
the Loki TV show,
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. This film is honestly just fantastic from start to finish. Absolute just spectacle. The entire way is just the best way I can describe it. Okay. Next, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Ah,
I think this is a very good, very enjoyable film, personally. I don't think it's nearly as good as the first Doctor Strange
No.
in retrospect.
But
Um,
yeah, I should say it's very good. I don't know that it's very high on the very good scale,
is
but
it above Ant-Man?
um, probably. But that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think the visuals are it's very close. It's a toss up between which one I like better. I think they're definitely more insane and creative in this movie. I think like the concepts are cool. The direction is wacky. I feel like though they could have gone in more directions for a multiverse film, you know? I feel like there's a lot of good stuff there. I feel like they could have done even more with it though. Um, the Book of Vishanti plotline doesn't go anywhere, but um I like Wanda as a villain in this movie. I think it's a
Yes.
very good follow-up to WandaVision. And I think it just works very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I, I agree.
there's not a whole lot of substance to the film, but it definitely has a lot of style. Okay, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Pretty bad.
Really? Do you think it's worse than Guardians 2?
Hmm. I don't know.
Because I feel like when we first watched it, you were pretty positive on it.
Yeah, but as time went on, and I reflected on it, and I think I even watched parts of it again, at, like on an airplane trip or something. You know, and just going, oh, okay, this is a
So,
lot.
so I think it's very, very overrated personally. I would maybe put it like mid. Maybe like decent, but I definitely this is gonna be the serious hot take because I think I like it better than Thor Ragnarok. I think that's the biggest hot take of this
Probably.
video. Um, because honestly, I think they're about the same level. It's very close. I think I probably just like Thor: Love and Thunder a little bit better. Honestly, just because I like Gore the God Butcher better as a villain more than anything. Um, there were a lot of moments in this movie that just made me laugh really hard. Um, see that one gag near the end about like Korg and he's like rock Dwayne,
Yeah,
right? That
the
that was
Dwayne the
that that
Rock.
that was really funny.
I mean, sure, it had a couple of one-liners that are good, but overall, it
It
just
didn't take the Lady Thor plot line in as good of a direction as I feel like it could have. Um,
yeah, I don't know. It
and
just
they didn't do enough with Gore the God Butcher as a villain, especially when they had Christian Bale playing him. Okay. Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
honestly, I it's one of those ones I keep meaning to go back and rewatch.
I have not rewatched it since we first saw it in theaters, but when I first watched it, I thought it was a very good film.
Yeah, I just it may be better than I remember, and and I probably need to go rewatch it to know for sure. So it's very hard for me to put it in this list exactly where it belongs because I don't remember enough of it to say,
Okay, then we'll just put it like kind of in the middle thing.
yeah.
Um, I think considering the very bad hand this movie was dealt, I think they actually managed to like do a really good job with it. You know,
No, for
like
sure.
I
Um,
think the direction they take Shuri as the main character was really captivating. And after Thor: Love and Thunder being not that great, it was nice that they kind of know that they could do a really serious film that didn't feel like it had to rely on the comedy that much, you know?
right,
Also,
right.
for me personally, I think Namor is a fantastic villain. Um,
Yes, yes.
I think like, I didn't read comics as a kid, but I had that big Marvel book. and I love reading that. And I read a lot of stuff about Namor, and so I knew a lot about him as a character. I think the way they executed him was very, very good.
Right.
Um, and I think it's just a good drama in general. Uh, I think that's the best way to describe it, and I think it's a really good example of what Marvel can do when they actually like make a serious film that doesn't feel like it has to rely on a bunch of absurd, not that great comedy. Um, Speaking of films that probably rely on way too much comedy, Quantum Mania. For me, this is very mid, but
Yeah, I'll on the bottom of the mid. Yeah.
um, I thought it was very enjoyable to watch in theaters, but looking back, it definitely has its slew of problems for sure.
Yeah.
I think obviously like Jonathan Majors, like it's been known that he's not a very good person. But even so, like what they did with Kang in this movie was just it
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 was
was it,
uninspired.
it was not good. um I also think the whole like visual like when I see footage of this movie, I'm reminded of like the whole visual style of of the quantum realm is just a mess.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's not.
it's I feel like it had a lot of potential, and it is just a little bit disappointing the fact that it wasn't fully executed on. Okay, Guardians 3.
It's decent. I think people probably
What?
love it way more than I would. I just, but again, goes to the fact that
Wow. Yeah, you're
I'm
not you're
just,
not
I'm just like
really a
at
fan
this
of those
point,
films.
having seen, you know, two Guardians movies, a holiday special. It's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm totally done with Star Lord. Like, just please exit stage left and stay left. And I don't know. I just, yeah,
So for me, I think this film is fantastic. I would maybe put it in the top tier, maybe like top of very good. It's a bit of a toss up as to the placement. But I think this film is really, really good. I think the High Evolutionary is another one of those examples like Namor. It's like a comic character that I read about a lot, knew a lot about. I think he was a very fun villain, executed very well. Um, I think all the stuff they did with Rocket in this movie was amazing to me. Uh
I mean, that's what lifts it up, right?
yeah, and
Is
I think the way that it kind of like rounds everything out was just incredibly satisfying. So I really enjoyed this film. I think that's definitely a hot take because a lot of people really like this film. But now we have the Marvel one.
I mean,
It's not a bad film.
so
We can get that off the
it's not pretty bad, no.
I don't think it's a bad film. It's very mid though.
I think I had higher hopes for it based on what I thought was a pretty good TV show in Ms.
Same,
Marvel.
same here. Um,
But it just, I mean, it has some moments,
yeah,
but
for me, the way I view this film
I mean,
is
I would
like
rate it higher than the Eternals probably, but that's about it.
not better than For the Dark World.
I mean, we're kind of
See,
straight at the
like
bottom, but
honestly, like all
yeah,
these films are around the same like territory.
sure.
They're honestly about the same level. There isn't that big of a difference. Um, for me, the way I view this movie is like um it's an absolute mess, and I think they probably knew that making the movie, and so they just tried to make it as fun a mess as possible.
Enough. Yeah, I can see that.
That's personally the way I view this movie, and
Sure.
and the biggest example for that to me is like it's one of the hardest I've ever laughed at any movie. That scene with all the Florkins was just
Yes.
it was so utterly ridiculous and stupid, and I think that kind of embodies the entire spirit of this movie and why I find it enjoyable is because it's so dumb and it's such a mess that it's just fun in that way. Like this has easily the most, it's not even really an antagonist of a villain, like easily the most forgettable
Oh
MCU
yeah.
villain of all time. I don't even remember what her name is.
Yeah, I mean that's how forgettable.
Like, and the plot was a mess. There's such a mess of like emotional tones because you'll have like some
Sure.
scenes where they like barely escape, and then they're like crying in an embrace, and then like not even a minute later they're all like laughing and buddy and crap like that. Um, yeah. um, it's a very fun mess is the best way I would describe the Marvels. But yeah, that's the complete list. How long is this going for? 45 minutes. Did you want to do the TV shows? Or would you want to do like
Let's do that.
separate video?
Let's audience look forward to episode 2 where we look at
Right.
the Marvel TV shows.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, um, that this is my dad's Marvel tier list. Very different from how I would make mine. That's for sure. Which is interesting because there are quite a few films on here that I didn't actually know his opinion on, so it was interesting to learn.
Well, there you go.
Which is fun to do, and it was as usual was fun discussing films with my dad. So, yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.